Greetings, Cleveland, and welcome to Creative Focus, the show that illuminates some of Cleveland's most talented and creative artists across the genres of film, dance, music, theater, and visual arts. I'm your host, Cornell Calhoun III, and I am thrilled, honored to be at the historic Karamu House, the oldest African-American theater in the country, here to celebrate a holiday tradition, the Karamu production of Black Nativity. And here to tell us more about this wonderful, beloved production is the president, CEO, and the director of the production, Tony F. Sias, and the queen of song and stage, one of the cast members, Miss Christina Johnson. Christina, Tony, welcome again to Creative Focus. Let's chop it up.
All righty. It's great being back.
It is unbelievable to be in this building. I have to say, every time I step in this building, I get emotional. The memories, the nostalgia of the building. I auditioned for my first play here, The Brownsville Raid in 1978, Charles Fuller. Tony, for those who may not know, give a brief history of this iconic institution.
Well, Karamu House was founded in 1915 by Russell and Rowena Jelliffe. We were originally a settlement house, and settlement houses back at the turn of the century were early forms of social service agencies. And they were primarily serving Eastern European immigrants. But during the Great Migration, when blacks were moving from the South to North for greater opportunities, Eastern Europeans and primarily Jewish families and black families were redlined in the same community. So in 1915, two little black boys were on the front porch of Karamu House and asked Mrs. Jelliffe could they come in. And that was the beginning of the integration of Karamu House. But by the 30s, Karamu House was known as this place where blacks were coming and thriving in arts and culture. We then began to be the foundation and the training ground for some of the most premier artists from the 70s on, not even the 70s, from the 40s on. And so today, our mission is to produce professional theater, provide arts education, and present community programs for all people while honoring the Black experience. Karamu stands on inclusion, and everybody is welcome. So we tell stories that are as inclusive and as diverse as our city.
Why do you think alumni get that feeling, that emotional feeling when they step in the building, whether it's 2 years, 3 years, 10 years? What's that about?
I feel like, for me personally, as a Karamu alum coming into Karamu in 1992 for the first time, it was bigger than arts and culture. It nurtured your soul, it nurtures your spirit. And so we as creatives, we're always looking for something to balance that out. So it was a sense of community, a second home for so many. And I've heard stories from other alums that it saved their lives and changed their lives and set a trajectory that it was bigger than just creative arts. It was about developing people and human beings, and they becoming positive, contributing members of society. So great the play, great the visual arts program, but it nurtures the soul.
Your vision when you took over this position, and it's an arduous task, and you've done remarkably well. I want to comment on that. Has the vision evolved in the way you thought it might?
In the way I thought it might?
Mm-hmm.
This is what I would say. One of the things was important to me is to look at having a 21st century facility that people could come in and it will be comparable to any professional theater around the country, not just Cleveland. So that was a focal point. The other piece was to create a product that would be competitive in the professional market. We're in the heart of the Fairfax community. We serve the community, but we are a professional theater organization. So those were two things that were key. And what the foundation of all of that is a sustainable financial model to allow us to not only survive, but to thrive.
Talk about the process in bringing Black Nativity to life for you, the directorial concept that you used.
The directorial concept was cast. In our business, 90% of the job is getting the casting done right. And coupled with the casting, creating an artistic team that would work together in concert to create and evolve into a vision. So my co-director I'm honored to have is Errin Weaver, who is also the choreographer for the show, and the maestro, Dr. David Manning Thomas, as our music director. All the three of us coming together creatively is just a joy and pleasure, and each of them are just brilliant. Coupled with our director of production, mustering the designers and coming together. So the combination of things, and my vision was just towards excellence, using the retelling of the Nativity story through the Black lens, bringing it to life in a way that still will be accessible for whatever community, whatever your ethnicity is, to be able to come in and celebrate this work and create a point of entry for whomever is an audience member.
And now it's the Queen's turn. Talk about the depth of your feeling for doing a play written by legendary Langston Hughes.
I think this is one of the most amazing experiences to have, to be able to be a part of one of our, and I say our as a Black community, one of our most famous writers, to be able to be a part of that and to be able to be a part of it here at the historic Karamu House. It's just amazing. As a kid, I came to see shows here, and some of it was, ooh, I'd like to be up there, and it was, the other part was just amazement at these people that were performing so beautifully on stage. So to be able to come here, watch it as a kid, work backstage, come and be a part of the ensemble, and then to now be able to be the narrator in some of Langston Hughes' writing, I'm over the moon.
How many times have you performed in this production?
In this production,
yes.
I have performed in all of the productions here since 2009.
How has the play evolved for you in terms of when you first did your first show?
The evolution is basically, I've gotten a chance to see creative extremes, because through everybody's different lens, you get to pick up a different piece of something beautiful. So I think I've had the chance to see some of the most creative outtakes on the show, because it's definitely been different according to who's been directing or who's even a part of the show. So it's one of those things, and I think that's why people are so attracted to it. You know the show, but you're always getting something different. You're always getting another viewpoint, and for me, that's exciting as a viewer.
What would you say is the most challenging part of doing Black Nativity?
The energy that it takes, the energy that it takes, the time that's committed to rehearsals, because it is, you have whatever you have to speak, but then you have dance or movement, and then you have the vocal compartments that are all different and all take a different time to learn, in a different space where you have to put your brain to get all that stuff in. So it's the time in rehearsal and the effort to get it right and get it seamless.
Tony, what were some challenges in bringing a production like this to life, would you say?
Langston in Act 1 gives you the retelling truly of the Nativity story. In Act 2, he sets the stage in a gospel church. And so one of the things that we were challenged with is that he used music, traditional spirituals from back in the day that people were very familiar with. And so we had to strike a balance in doing the traditional interpretations of spirituals and doing contemporary arrangements of the spirituals. And I feel like we finally struck a great balance in doing in a couple of spirituals, we do both a contemporary arrangement, a traditional arrangement first, then we go over into the contemporary arrangement. And I think it kind of, for our elders, they want to hear it the way they learned it,
Right.
Through the oral tradition. And then younger audiences have a huge appreciation for the contemporary arrangements and sampling from other music. And so that was a challenge, but it was a great challenge. And so I would reframe that as an opportunity to continue to make the piece much more accessible for a broader audience.
Because I was wondering, there was a period where you made it more contemporary, right? How did that come to play in your mind? I mean, where did you get that from? Or you just thought it was a need to reach a broader audience?
So that was in 2019, if I'm not mistaken. And it was what was going on in our world. And so we decided to set the play in 2019 in an urban setting, that Mary did not have the baby at a manger. She had the baby next to a dumpster. That the wise ones were not, wise ones. They were police officers. That we had nurses, so people who were hearing about the birth of Jesus. They get news on their cell phones. They were on the subway. And so it was an opportunity to bring, again, an audience closer to it. And the big the journey of Mary and Joseph was trying to get across the border in that particular production. So we looked at the world in which we were living in, we looked at our country and said, how can we make this more accessible? And look at the climate of the country and what was going on at that time. And there were those who loved that production interpretation and those were challenged. But I feel like there was more positive about it just based on where people were in their consciousness.
What kind of feedback do you get having the opportunity to perform in a magnificent production like this, almost like a spectacle?
I get a lot of positive feedback. One of the best things is that I hear over and over again, because in our community, sometimes it takes a little time for people to be exposed to theater. So Black Nativity is one of those shows that brings the entire family in. So it's an opportunity for the grandmothers that have been seeing the show for years to bring their children and then their grandchildren. So I always hear that a lot of people's first introduction to theater in our community is this show, because they got to see it with their families and come in, and it made them want to both come and see another show and try to figure out how they could actually be on stage too. So that's the kind of feedback I get.
So you've performed this many times. Have you always been the narrator?
No, I have not. No. I was always a part of the ensemble, which I loved.
Okay.
And then last year I got the opportunity to be only the second woman to be the narrator. So I'm excited about that.
So you sing?
I do.
And you dance?
A little bit. Yeah.
And a little spoken word? Why don't you do some spoken word for us? Is that possible for you to do that for me today?
Yeah, you want me to do it right now?
I would love, we're gonna take a break.
Okay.
And then you get ready and you do your spoken word.
Oh, I'd love to.
We'll be right back with Christina Johnson in Black Nativity.
Join Cleveland Public Library for festive holiday fun at Merry Maker Fest on Saturday, November 30th, starting at 10 a.m. at Main Library in downtown Cleveland. Experience a fun-filled day with activities for everyone, with real reindeer, hot cocoa and treats, DIY gift making, games with CPL Play, and much more. Don't forget to visit our new robot friends, the band and Brett Hall, before heading over to Public Square for the annual tree lighting. Bring the whole family to Cleveland Public Library's Merry Maker Fest on Saturday, November 30th. This festive celebration is free and open to the public. Learn more at cpo.org/merrymakerfest.
Here again, the Christmas story. Christ is born in all his glory. Baby laid in manger dark, lighting ages with the spark of innocence. That is the child, trusting all within his smile. Tell again the Christmas story with the halo of his glory. Halo born of humbleness, by the breath of cattle bless, by the poverty of stall, where a bed of straw is all, by a door closed at the end where only men of means get in, by a door closed to the poor, Christ is born on earth and floor, in a stable with no lock. Yet kingdoms tremble at the shock of a king in swaddling clothes, at an address no one knows because there is no hotel sign. Nothing but a star divine, nothing but a halo bright about his young head at night. Mary, son, manger born, music of the angel's horn. Mary, son, in straw and glory, wonder of the Christmas story.
I'm gonna put you on the spot. Tell me about that performance and what it means to you. Was that special? Did you select that to do on the show?
I did. Well, it was kind of combined because that's what I would have chosen to do. But
Okay.
that was also the direction to do. So that was kind of collaborative. But I think it's powerful when you get a chance to, I am a spiritual woman, so when you get a chance to do the things that you love, as well as be able to be a representative of what you believe, it's an amazing experience for me and an amazing way to wrap up my year of theater, to be able to come back and be able to have my spiritual side, meet my profession, meet my love.
Yeah, well, you are an amazing artist, and you know I know that firsthand. Tony, for years, this production was held right here in the Jelliffe. What made you change and move it to Playhouse Square?
So one of the motivators was that just capacity. Our theater here can accommodate about 185, 90 people. In the theaters at Playhouse Square, the current theater, the Hannah Theater this year, can accommodate close to 500 audience members. So for every one show there, it would equate to 2.5 shows here. The other piece is that having Black Nativity at Playhouse Square really does balance out the offering of holiday productions at Playhouse Square. And it really creates options for families to really be able and come out and experience Karamu House. And Karamu House is important to note. We are the first affiliate company of Playhouse Square. And what does that mean? That we're partnering with Playhouse Square to do more of our productions there, but in addition to that, working with them as a creative partner. And it's important to note as well is that we will continue to produce theater right here on the corner of East 89th and Quincy Avenue. We're not going anywhere. This is our home, and we do so much more than theater here at Karamu House. But this partnership allows us to move our brand beyond East 89th and Quincy.
Do you have a vision beyond what's going on now at Karamu? So many wonderful changes. Is there something even beyond what we're seeing now?
Well, we want to continue to partner and develop new works. We want to have a presence outside of Cleveland that could be on the East Coast somewhere. Let's just say East Coast somewhere. New York. We want to continue to bring artists in from around the country as directors, as creatives, and that's not to minimize our commitment to creatives in Cleveland. But I feel like when you have people from around the country come in as directors, designers, and some talent, it helps bring a new perspective to what we're currently doing here in our community, but a full commitment to prioritizing Cleveland artists. That's the vision, and to continue to respond to some of the needs of the community that go beyond the creative. we want to continue to use the arts as a vehicle, not only to entertain, but to educate and activate community around some of our most pressing social issues of the day.
What is your vision, Christina, for yourself and for this wonderful institution?
For this institution, I enjoy the progress that's being made, and I want to see it soar. I believe that we deserve this as a people, this community deserves this as a people, to have a shining light. And for myself, I just want the same things for expansion, for wherever it is that I land. I'm one of those open people willing to go where I need to go, whether it's here or abroad. So I'm just excited for whatever the next door is.
And Tony, what do you want an audience to take from this magnificent production, Black Nativity, when they walk out of the doors?
To appreciate the brilliance of Langston Hughes, to appreciate the quality of work that Karamu House produces, and that the joy of Nativity and bringing joy to family and community. We're in challenging times, and we need to center on joy. And joy is something that's beyond happiness. You know, happiness is kind of like this external stimuli. We want to impact from the core. And so to make sure, Karamu House is a Swahili word that means a place of joyful gathering. And if most importantly, that we want people to walk out of there feeling the joy of the joy-filled gathering of Langston Hughes' Black Nativity and Karamu House's production.
Well said, sir. Now, let's make sure we know when and where people can go to see this beloved production.
The show will open on Saturday, November 30th, and run through Sunday, December 15th in the Hannah Theater at Playhouse Square. And we really want to encourage families that you're going to have your cousin and auntie them in town Thanksgiving weekend. Don't spend all the money at Black Friday, because you're going to outgrow those shoes from whatever store, and that outfit ain't going to fit next season. But the memory of family coming to experience Black Nativity in the Hannah Theater at Playhouse Square will be something that you will never outgrow, that it will serve as a springboard and a memory for generations to come, so that we encourage families to come down opening weekend and see the production. And if you cannot make it opening weekend, just make sure you get it to see it before it closes on December 15th.
And they can just go to the Karamu website?
You can go to karamuhouse.org, and information is there, and you can call Playhouse Square.
Thanks so much for being on the show.
Thank you for having us.
My pleasure. I want to thank my special guests, Tony Sias and Christina Johnson, for hanging out with us today on Creative Focus. So that's it, Cleveland, we're out. But remember, a true artist is not only inspired, but inspires others. I'm Cornell Calhoun III for TV 20 and Creative Focus. Until the next time becomes our time, be well, be safe.